According to pause कर दो ना.
So we can start.
Yeah. Very good morning to all on behalf of the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry and my personal behalf. We have a very interesting, absorbing session lined up for you today. And to take the session forward, I'd like to invite and introduce Mr. Himanshu Ratan, partner KPMG. Thank you, Mr. Ratan, for accepting our invite. Mr. Ratan is the lead for North Region for Government Advisory Vertical. He brings in more than 17 years of experience and has led multiple large-scale programs to enable ease of doing business and promote investments across sectors, including logistics. During the peak COVID period last year, he supported the Empowered Committee on Logistics in addressing supply chain issues and in drafting policies and guidelines for e-commerce players. He also co-leads Economic Development Vertical at KPMG. Over to you, Mr. Himanshu Ratan.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this session. I think this is going to be a fairly interesting and fruitful session. I believe the theme itself is logistics and warehousing connect, and we are looking at forming future collaboration. First, before I begin, let me just quickly,
Mr. Ratan, sorry for interrupting, but if you could switch on your video, please.
I've already switched on my video. Is it not visible?
No, not visible.
Can anybody else see me, not see me? Let me just try switching off my video again.
It's fine now. It's fine now.
Oh,
thank you.
Fantastic. So let me just quickly welcome all my panelists, both from the industry and the government. Quickly, we have Mr. Madhusudan Vij, who's the chair, Chandigarh chapter at PHDCCI. We have Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, who's the chairman of Agarwal Movers and Packers. We have Mr. Achal Paliwal, who's the CEO of Tata Motors Distribution Limited. Mr. Satyam Chaudhary, who's the senior director of the new supply chain capabilities at Flipkart. We have Mr. Puneet Mehendiratta, who's the Vice President at Adani Logistics. We have Mr. Yashanjeet Singh, who's the Managing Director of the Punjab State Warehousing Corporation. Mr. Shivin, Secretary of Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Punjab. And we have Mr. Karan Gilotra, who's the chair of the Punjab State Chapter at PHDCCI. With that, let me just quickly set the context for the discussion today. I'm just going to make share my screen. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the broad agenda for today is, we'll be discussing 4 or 5 themes today. The first theme is the factors that are impacting the changing requirements of logistics and warehousing infrastructure in the country. We know there is a larger disposable income with people. There is a rising income levels. That's one of the trends which is impacting. The second, very clearly, is the e-commerce, wherein what we've seen is the share of online retail out of the total retail has increased significantly over the last 2 years. So it was at 2.9%, the share of online retail in the total retail in 2018, and it has now gone up to 5% in 2020. Similarly, if you look at shipment of smartphones in the country, in back in the Q3 of 2019, there were as many as 46 million shipments that happened. In the last quarter of 2020, which is Q3 of 2020, this has increased to 50 million smartphone shipments in the country. So there are these trends which are impacting both in terms of the products, also in terms of the way people are now today, the way consumers are buying products is what is changing today, and that would have an impact on the logistics and warehousing infrastructure. The second theme we'll be discussing today is the supply chain strategy to meet the tier 2 and demands in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. If you look at, there is a urban and a regional freight movement planning that needs to be done. So what is happening is a lot of these warehouses are being created at the periphery or the perimeters of a particular city, and it's being linked to the urban infrastructure. So the regional infrastructure within the city is being linked to the urban infrastructure through these warehouses, which are being set up, at the perimeters of various cities. Is that the right strategy? What are some of the other strategies that we could look at when we are looking at, demand that is coming, especially from tier 2, tier 3 cities? The third is we are looking at discussing what are the collaboration opportunities for industry and government to modernize the infrastructure. We are all aware of models like PPP. We have an example of the PLIL, which is the Punjab Logistic Infrastructure Limited, which is being set up by the joint participation of the government and the industry. Can we look at similar models to develop or modernize the infrastructure? There's also a need to look at opportunities to modernize some of the existing setup that the government has, and there are models being which we could look at, including co-development, co-marketing. So those are models that we need to look at. So we'll look at the views from both industry and government on this in terms of how those collaboration models could work. The third is the fourth theme which we'll be looking at is, and it's a combination in a way, it's decentralization of warehouses, automation, and some of the technologies that could be used for inventory management. If you look at way back in 2017, when the new GST regime came in, which is one country, one tax, it impacted the way warehouses were now being thought of being located, because the tax advantage was no longer the key decision-making point in terms of the location of the warehouse itself. And therefore, a lot of the consolidation of warehouses happened. But what happened due to the recent COVID is that there is a lot of decentralization which has started happening because of regional, roadblocks, because of regional, cities or, states imposing lockdowns. And that's when the, idea of a decentralization of warehouses that came up. So, when we're looking at the future, which is next 3 to 5 years, is decentralization the right approach, or should we kind of look at, larger centralized warehouses and more a hub and spoke model, which we could, look at? So that's something that we'll be discussing. Also, technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, how do they play a part in demand forecasting, route mapping, etc. The fifth thing we'll be discussing is, the current infrastructure in Punjab. We all know that Punjab is second. In fact, it's the second time it has been ranked second in the overall ease of logistics index, which is the lead index, which is being done by Ministry of Commerce. In fact, it's number one as far as the safety of cargo is concerned, even in the same index itself. But yeah, looking at the current infrastructure, and also looking at opportunities that exist because of Punjab being connected to both the eastern dedicated freight corridor as well as the western dedicated freight corridor. What are those opportunities that we can look at is something that we'll be discussing as part of the session today. And lastly, obviously, what are the specific interventions in terms of attracting investments in areas of supply chain, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's retail and consumer good products. What are those opportunities in which investments could come into Punjab is what we'll be discussing today. With that, setting up the context, I would now like to invite Mr. Madhusudan Vij, who's the chair of the Chandigarh chapter at PHDCCI, to make his welcome address. Mr. Sudan.
Thank you very much. Shri Seben C, IAS, Government of Punjab, Department of Industries and Commerce. Shri Yashanjeet Singh, Managing Director, Punjab State Warehousing Corporation. Shri Ramesh Agarwal, Chairman, Expert Committee on Logistics, PhD Chamber of Commerce, and Chairman, Agarwal Movers and Packers. Mr. Achal Paliwal, CEO, Tata Motors Distribution Company Limited. Mr. Satyam Chaudhary, Senior Director, New Supply Chain Capabilities, Flipkart. Mr. Puneet Mendirata, Vice President, Adani Logistics. Mr. Karan Girotra, Chairman, Punjab State Chapter, PhD Chamber of Commerce. A very warm welcome on behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry and my personal behalf. It's my proud privilege to share that PhD Chamber and Punjab Logistics Infrastructure Limited are jointly organizing Punjab Logistic and Warehousing Connect with the view of pondering over the changing business scenario, policy framework, and network with state government and industrial players to find out opportunities of infrastructure expansion within the state of Punjab. I welcome Shri Siban CG at the session. Sir, industry of Punjab is aware of your recent efforts of creating a state logistic committee to address the concerns related to logistic infrastructure and process barriers in time-bound manner. We are sure that today's session will surely help us take your work forward.
Yeah, good
This
morning. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. This program is an initiative of Shri Yashanjeet Singh Ji. Sir, your commitment to lead Punjab State Warehousing Corporation as a professional organization and find suitable partners to facilitate the trade within the state of Punjab is commendable. I welcome our distinguished speakers joining this diverse business, joining from diverse business sectors, including Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, Chairman of the PhD Chamber of Commerce Expert Committee on Logistics, Mr. Achal Paliwal, Mr. Satyam Chaudhary, and Mr. Puneet Mandirata. We are grateful to you for joining us today, and we look forward to hear your expert thoughts and view on the subject of interest today. We are appreciative of the team members from Punjab Logistic Infrastructure Limited, Punjab State Warehousing Corporation, Conveyor, Concor, and our corporate partners, Paul Merchants for supporting this initiative. I request all of you to make most of the session filled with deliberations, discussions, and feel free to ask questions. Thank you all, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vij, for those for that welcome address. Thank you so much. With that, let me just move to the industry perspective and start with Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, who is the chairman of Agarwal Movers and Packers. In fact, as Mr. Vij mentioned, Mr. Agarwal is the chair of the National Expert Committee on Logistics of PhD CCI. He spent 6 years with the Indian Air Force, and after that stepped into the supply chain business. And after he stepped into the supply chain business, Agarwal Movers Group today covers the entire supply chain through various units such as Agarwal Packers and Movers, APM Infrastructure, APM Highway Terminal Private Limited, APM Air Cargo Terminal, APM Integrated Logistics, APM Home Storage, and APM Car Courier and Transportation Services. Mr. Agarwal, a very warm welcome again. And I think because you're present through the entire supply chain, I think it'll be interesting to hear from you your perspective on the key factors that are today driving the logistics industry, and also what should be the strategy, especially for tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you, sir. It's pleasure for me, to meet this forum, and PSD is always the well-wisher of logistic business. And today, again, I'm happy to see that Punjab now we are talking about warehouse logistic supply chain. In fact, मैंने जब मेरा 33 years का experience देखा इंडिया के अंदर, तो एक पोस्ट जीएसटी और बिफोर जीएसटी एक कतरे इतना बड़ा चेंज हुआ, शायद सभी प्लेयर्स यहाँ पर हैं और उनको ध्यान होगा कि इफ यू वांट टू कंसोलिडेट द गुड्स तो आपको कुछ स्टेट छोड़ने पड़ते थे, यानी कि लाइक कानपुर इज ए सेंटर और लखनऊ इज ए सेंटर टू कंसोलिडेट, तो कानपुर और यानी कि यूपी में कहीं भी यू कैन नॉट स्टोर द गुड्स, क्योंकि वहां यूपी में 32 नंबर फॉर्म होता था और यूपी में केवल यू कैन पास इट बट यू कैन नॉट कंसोलिडेट। इसी तरह पंजाब के अंदर यू कैन नॉट कंसोलिडेट, क्योंकि आपको पंजाब में केवल सामान पंजाब का ही ला सकते थे। वो जम्मू का मटेरियल यू वांट टू कंसोलिडेट एट अमृतसर, बहुत मुश्किल था, वो कानूनी नहीं था, एक्ट ही नहीं था। तो ये सारा का सारा चीज इतना निकल कर आ गया कि जो हम कभी सोच भी नहीं सकते थे। तो ये एक लॉजिस्टिक का क्या होगा कि कम कॉस्ट कैसे हो, लॉजिस्टिक की कॉस्ट जो हम हमेशा बात करते हैं कि कम हो, ये केवल कम तभी होगी जब कंसोलिडेशन होगा। तो ऑल टुगेदर जब कंसोलिडेशन की बात आती है तो डेफिनेटली देयर नीड ए लॉजिस्टिक पार्क, लॉजिस्टिक सेंटर जहां कंसोलिडेट हो सके। तो कंसोलिडेशन के लिए कुछ नियमावली होती है कि वेयर टू कंसोलिडेट, कॉस्ट कम आए। जैसे होती है ना, छोटे छोटे नाले एक बड़ी नदी में आ जाएंगे तो नदी फिर आपस में बहती है। तो इसी तरह छोटे छोटे डिस्ट्रिक्ट से मटेरियल कहां पर इकट्ठा हो एंड देन वो कंसोलिडेट होकर वहां से कैसे जाए। तो ये सारी चीज देखने के बाद एक निकल कर आया। पहले एक जगह है पंजाब में रजपुरा, आई थिंक इट इज इन पटियाला डिस्ट्रिक्ट। ये कंसोलिडेशन के लिए एक नई चीज निकल कर आई कि पूरा पंजाब एंड हिमाचल का कुछ पोर्शन, J&K का पूरा मटेरियल वहां इकट्ठा हो, वहां कंसोलिडेट हो, देन इट मूव्स टुवर्ड्स साउथ, नॉर्थ, सब जगह। तो एक वो सेंटर निकल के आया। उसके बाद इंडिया के अंदर डिफरेंट सेंटर निकल कर आए कि वन इन द नियर टू लखनऊ, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट वन इन द जयपुर। तो ऐसा कंसोलिडेशन के कारण जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में गवर्नमेंट क्या हेल्प करे हमारी, वो एक विषय है जिसके ऊपर आज हम चर्चा करें तो हमारे को करने का लाभ होगा। और जब इंडस्ट्री के एक्सपर्ट है, मैं चाहूंगा कि एक बार वो सब कुछ बोल ले, तो उसके बाद उसमें से फिर क्या चीज निकलेगी तो मैं मेरा अपना व्यू उसमें अगेन पुट लेटर ऑन। तो मैं एक बार चाहूंगा कि यू गिव देम दिस माइक टू द कैप्टन्स ऑफ इंडस्ट्री सो दैट वी कैन कंक्लूड लेटर ऑन। ओवर टू यू सर।
थैंक यू सो मच अग्रवाल सर। आई थिंक आपने जो बात बोली वो जीएसटी वाली, आई थिंक अपोज जीएसटी डेफिनेटली, आई थिंक कंसोलिडेशन बिकेम द रेगुलर नॉर्म इन अ वे, बट बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड, यू नो, जिस तरीके के हमने लॉकडाउन्स देखे, जिस तरीके के हमने नए मायने देखे ऑपरेट करने के, उसमें डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन केम एज अ important element. But how do you balance? और जो आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा कि ultimately the objective is कि cost भी कम होना चाहिए. Decentralization would always increase the cost. So maybe we are hoping कि ये जो decentralization COVID की वजह से हुआ है ये temporary होगा, but ultimately consolidation की तरफ बढ़ेगा। और I think हमारे industry veterans, जैसे आपने कहा, let's hear from them also and see what is their view. So with that, let me just invite Mr. Achal Paliwal, who's the CEO of Tata Motors Distribution Company. And Mr. Paliwal is, as we know, that Tata Motors Distribution Limited is the logistics operation of this Tata Motors are spread over 5 plants and 12 regional warehouses and 8 regional offices in India. The company is managing annual logistics spend of rupees 10 billion through 57 logistic partners providing multimodal logistics services. Mr. Paliwal has 36 years of work experience in auto logistics, and prior to Tata Motor, he worked with companies like Honda and Maruti Suzuki. So, Mr. Paliwal, we will want to hear from you, in terms of the consumer and the retail side of things. What do you think is changing, and what are the strategies? And especially, where can the industry work with government to develop the logistics architecture for the future?
Sure, Himanshu, thank you very much for your kind introduction. Although it was not needed, Rameshji and we all know each other very well. And good morning to everybody out there. The first thing, I would like to touch upon the subject before getting into the automobile sector and its distribution patterns. First, the regime change, which you touched upon, the GST regime. There has been a sea change. When we used to discuss in those years in Siam or wherever, CI or wherever, we used to say that there will be a lot of warehouses after GST regime. But what actually we saw is the consolidation. So if as Tata Motors is an example, we used to operate almost 27 warehouses across India, and with 800 acres of land in use. And primarily for entire industry, the stockyard was the means of tax arbitrage benefits, nothing else. Between the states, and as Rameshji touched upon, certain friendly states, certain tax unfriendly states, and all those kind of distinctions. But after GST regime, we have seen the stockyard or decentralized distribution from customers' perspective. So where we are closer to the market and closer to the consumption centers. So those are the areas where we started focusing. And end result, as it happened, from 27, 28 warehouses, we were reduced to 12 warehouses now, and almost now 400 to 480 acres of land. You might see this land size is too big, But when you want to park trucks, you need that kind of land. Okay, so it all depends on the products, what you sell. Today, now we touch upon the post-COVID scenario. Now, this scenario for automotive industry is very different as compared to consumer durables industry. Being a very capital intensive business and the high inventory holding costs, most of the companies are now seeking efficiency in JIT kind of concepts. So JIT in and JIT out, and selling factory fresh vehicles directly to dealerships. And from there, they are retailed. So in that sense, our utilization of these even 12 stockyards, which we are talking, or RSOs, is reduced 30%. Because there is no vehicle to be stocked there. That was on CV side of it, because the demand was subdued for long, economic environment. But on PV side, if you see passenger vehicle side, all of a sudden, because of Corona, safety issues and other things, demand started increasing. And today we are in a situation where we are a supply constrained kind of industry. So the manufacturing is the constraint, not the demand. So the vehicle which is made, the customer is already waiting. So where is the time and opportunity to stock it in the stockyard? So most of them are now underutilized. For example, we opened a stockyard in Farooq Nagar, Gurgaon for passenger vehicles, which is almost 15 acres in collaboration with TCI. Now it's lying completely vacant, totally unused. We opened another stockyard in Bangalore. Again, it is completely vacant. Nobody is using this stockyard. So this is the current situation for almost all entire automotive industry. Of course, as you said, I support your viewpoint that even in post-COVID scenario, with some increased surge and feeling that we should have more places near to the customers for distribution because of the entry restrictions. But again, it all boils down to economy and your cost of operations. So finally, the industry viewpoint is less is more. So the lesser inventory you keep, healthier you are in these times. I think for next 1.5 years, this is the story which is going to run through. That's how I feel. While I respect other participants, maybe Flipkart, Sanjay may have a different viewpoint, or other people may have different viewpoints. But that's what I see.
Sure, Mr. Paliwal. I think that's very useful, and I think auto definitely is a very, very different industry when you look at, all the, when you look at the overall economy as to, I think auto has been hit very, very differently post-COVID, and the facts that you mentioned about just-in-time picking up, obviously, post-COVID the demand picking up, and the manufacturing not being able to cope up to that level of obviously it's for a short span in time, as I understand. But yeah, I think as you mentioned, I think it's going to be more consolidation, and the economy is ultimately going to dictate the overall architecture for logistics and warehouses in the country. So thank you so much for those views. With that, let me just move to our next panelist, Mr. Satyam Chaudhary. He's the Senior Director, New Supply Chain Capabilities at Flipkart. Flipkart obviously needs no introduction. Satyam at Flipkart is focused on creating reliable, scalable and efficient supply chains. Flipkart is known for its path-breaking supply chain innovations like cash on delivery, Flipkart Assured Guarantees, and Big Billion Days sales. Prior to Flipkart, Satyam spent a decade with Caterpillar across Southeast Asia, China, and India. There, his career also focused on supply chain, logistics, process engineering, and lean manufacturing. So with that introduction, Satyam, if you could obviously, we moved from an auto sector to now online retail. And as Achal mentioned that, obviously you might have a completely different view on things, on what we've been talking. So your thoughts, especially with regards online retail, what kind of warehousings and models are you looking at for the next 3 to 5 years?
Himanshu, thanks for the kind introduction. So the post GST world has been a pretty interesting world for e-commerce as well. Achalji touched upon the right themes, and Mr. Agarwal also touched upon right themes, that in the sense that for a change and for the better, now it is the logistics cost that is at the, and the customer experience that is at the center of decision making of where these logistics node need to be built, rather than the tax arbitrage part of it, right? And that puts into focus the overall cost of fulfillment as the primary goal for the organization within the service level parameters to optimize for. Now, when I look at these developments from e-commerce point of view, there are two or three major themes that are driving our thinking. Right? The first theme is, of course, the customer and the cost of serving customer part of it, the service levels to the customer and cost of serving. If I may spend 30 seconds on elaborating what I mean by that, is that if you look at examples of other economies where e-commerce took, almost 1.5 decades for the 2-day delivery to become the norm, in India, the acceleration has been much faster. Although we are starting this journey while we are still underway on the infrastructure development phase of our economy part of it, right? So in India, when we are talking to our customers, we are already seeing that the customers are basing their big purchase decisions on the speed of delivery as well, right? There was a time initially when customers were more value conscious. It was more about price comparison, feature comparison, product features, insurance and other features, and so on and so forth. But now speed is also becoming a key parameter for the customer in making the decision, and that is a natural evolution of share of wallet movement part of it, right, of the journey. So that is, and that creates for us the tension between trying to be closer to the customer so that we can fulfill faster, but on other side comes the whole how do you get the economies of scale? How do you concentrate the network in order to minimize inventory, cost of fulfillment, etc., etc. So what we are seeing is that while GST allowed for a while for us to consolidate our network into 6 to 8 major locations in the country, now we are seeing a proliferation of the network once again in order to get the customer. And in my view, that is a good story. And the reason why I say that is the good story is because to me, that indicates a strong demand from Bharat, right? The tier 2, tier 3 towns in India, where traditionally selection at a good price point has been difficult to fulfill, right? Multiple challenges, the share of wallet available with that customer segment, the fragmentation of the demand with smaller population sizes and so on and so forth, part of it. So traditionally, it had been very much, very much in favor of any supply chain designer to say that 70% of the demand is concentrated in these major locations, concentrate there, and then going beyond that dramatically increases the cost of fulfillment. And somewhere along that journey, you had to draw the line saying that what can we afford, part of it. That paradigm is dramatically changing, right? The second piece of this journey also is that the infrastructure that is getting created in this space. If I take an example, the state of warehousing report from Knight Frank for 2020, right? About 22% of all modern grade A warehousing infrastructure created in the country, 22% of that went to to e-commerce in the previous year, right? And that while we may consider that it's a disproportionately high number when you consider the percentage of the retail share e-commerce hold, and that basically points out to two challenges in the space. One part is the lack of world-class warehousing infrastructure in the country, part of it, right? So in a developing country where the overall consumption in the country is going up, part of it, that becomes a bottleneck in the drive for growth, right? As Achalji mentioned, that you want to do more with less, but you don't want infrastructure to be the bottleneck. It has to be either the manufacturing capacity or the demand. Those as logistics practitioner, we would prefer either of them to be the drivers of the economics than us in the middle, because otherwise we become the bottleneck for the growth part of it. Right? So that's one piece. And the reason why this becomes important is because whatever new infrastructure is getting created today, this infrastructure has a very long life. It's being created for next 25 years per se, right? So one of the challenges that we figured when we are moving from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, state to union territories, etc., part of it is that the thinking on what world-class infrastructure means is not equally evolved across all jurisdictions. Punjab and Haryana, in my opinion, have done a relatively better job in evolving on that front. But it's there is more that can be done, because when we look at when we look at the 10% GDP growth rate aspiration this country has, and we look at examples of what that will require in terms of infrastructure creation, once you create this infrastructure, it is going to stay with us forever. For example, once we build a fulfillment center, so on and so forth, part of it, its whole utility and efficiency gets driven on that front. The second piece is certainly that is happening very aggressively in the industry is the mechanization part of it, and that is primarily driven by the increase in the average size of the warehousing in the industry as it has gone up. I see that as a more universal phenomena rather than an e-commerce specific phenomena. As my colleagues mentioned, as the average size of the yards and average size of the warehousing as they have gotten consolidated, part of it, that creates a lot of opportunities to automate, mechanize, and create a paperless supply chain for that matter, part of it. And if we look at if we look at some of the secular changes that has happened in the last 5 years, digitization of the supply chain has been one big one. And that's where I think there is a big opportunity for the industry and the regulator and government bodies collaboration part of it, both in terms of regulation, that what kind of infrastructure to be built, what specifications are supported and allowed, and so on and so forth, to all the way to co-developing the infrastructure part of it. I really would like to support Mr. Agarwal's view that as this whole transformation of the transformative shift of demand consumption is happening in the country, as the tier 2 and tier 3 towns are rising to claim their rightful share of consumption in the economy, new centers of logistics will have to come up, and they'll have to be supported by an intelligent design. We can let them come up organically, some creation by accident, or we can take a more forward-looking look and create them by putting our collective wisdom together on how do we bring up these ecosystems where everything mutually feeds each other as an ecosystem, and creates a much more efficient logistics landscape in the country. Because in the end, it's the logistics is the key lubricant for one of the key lubricants for economic growth as percentage cost. We all have, I don't think there's anybody on this panel who will disagree that as the logistics cost as a percentage of GDP improves, the overall competitiveness of the country goes to a completely different level, right? That's when we can support our ambitions of competing with larger economies, create jobs, create wealth for the nation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and create wealth for the new nation, and maybe have more inclusive growth as well. But very interesting, points. I think 4 or 5 key takeaways for me personally out of what you talked about. One, obviously, there's a significant, paradigm shift in terms of the consumer behavior, which is, earlier the price point was one of the major, decision-making point. Today is the speed of delivery. Second is, there is a strong pull that is coming, or small demand which is coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which cannot be ignored any longer. And I think, as you said, that they need to have their rightful share in the overall consumption. The third that you mentioned, very important point, was with regards to the logistics and warehouse infrastructure. It's not up to the quality standards. And as you mentioned, I think there has to be some method to the madness, rather than kind of these warehouses and logistics coming up by accidents. And therefore, we'll have to take a medium to long term view, a 10 to 20 year kind of view in terms of what should be the design we should be looking at. And last, I think the takeaway was in terms of the automation and mechanization. I think that's going to be extremely important as well, not only to bring in more efficiencies, but also to reduce the cost of logistics. So thank you so much, Mr. Satyam, for those points. With that, let me just move to Puneet Mendiratta, who is the Vice President at Adani Logistics. He brings in more than 32 years of insightful experience across supply chain functions in agri and food grain sector, transportation, distribution, along with project and operations management of agro and food products. Mr. Mendiratta, we've gotten a view from the online, online retail. We've gotten auto view, but I think agro and food processing, I think if I may also add the pharma to it, I think they again have a very, very different kind of requirements in terms of infrastructure when we're looking at cold chains, when you're looking at, movement of such goods. So your thoughts, Mr. Mendiratta, on specifically, the warehousing and logistics design for sectors like the agro and food processing, which are far more dependent on factors like temperature, etc.
Later on. Yeah, thanks, Himanshu. Thank you so much to PhD Chamber, KPMG, and PLIL for organizing such a wonderful session today. My name is Puneet Mendiratta, and I'm responsible for Agri Logistics division of the company, which is a 100% subsidiary of Adani Logistics. Just to give you a brief overview of what we are doing and what are the possibilities of exploring further with the government and on a PPP mode particularly. Adani Agri Logistics is in the business of grain storage, which is of utmost importance as far as agrarian state of Punjab is concerned. It's pathetic to see more than 15 million tons of food grain lying in open every year in a so-called cap storage. That if it is not lifted in time within 3-4 months, it is bound to damage or rot. So, particularly in the state of Punjab, I'm talking about. I'm a Punjabi myself, so I can realize the pain behind the wastage of food grain. So, our company is dealing in grain silos. In fact, we are the pioneers in this field. We started in 2007, serving Food Corporation of India. We set up state-of-art grain silos along with the railway sidings, just to ensure seamless supply chain, right from procurement till and distribution. We facilitate procurement from the farmers. Farmer comes to us directly, delivers his produce. We keep it, preserve it as long as the agency wants, and we move it through rail in specialized food grain wagons into the PDS system of the Government of India. So this is one field we are into. This is our 13th year of successful operations. Subsequent to this success of this project, Government of India, in fact, encouraged states also to come up with such models. And Madhya Pradesh government was the first to come into this field by having 9-10 locations of such kind of storage, scientific storage. Punjab also took some initiative, but very minuscule stage, in fact. although there's a lot of potential. Then we are into AgriFresh. It's a cold chain, in fact. We do apples in Himachal Pradesh, in Rodu, Rampur, and Sinj. We do 30,000 tons of apples every year. We procure directly from the growers, give them inputs, take the material from them, that is apple, pay for each and every apple. We have high-tech CA stores. It's called controlled atmosphere stores. It's not a common cold storage. It's a CA storage, which ensures the quality, the crunchiness of apple throughout the period of 6 to 7 months till the time it goes into the retail chain. So that is one field we are successfully running for the last over 12 years, in fact. And down the line, we have this kind of storage in Delhi also, because not everything can be stored in the higher reaches, so the material has to come down hills. Then third wing is Adani Logistics, of course. That is into ICD. We are running 5 ICDs. Out of that, two are EXIM ICDs, and rest are domestic cargo. So broadly, these 3 fields I would like to throw some light upon, where we can, any industry rather, not we, but the industry can collaborate with the government, because today, Mr. Yashanjeet Singh, MD Saab, he must appreciate, being from the railway background, he must appreciate the point that creation of railway siding is very, very difficult because of the major constraints in land acquisition. But rail transport, rail logistics is the most economical logistics as far as cost is concerned. So government has ample land available, be it railway, be it state governments, ample land is available. Why don't you leverage that land in creating structures, in creating facilities, in collaboration with the industry on a PPP mode? Give the land to the investor. He will create the infrastructure for you. I mean, this kind of collaboration can be or should be explored into. And secondly, as I told you, cold chain, it has a lot of scope in the plain areas, because not everybody can have facilities in the higher reaches or in the growing area. We can explore, because see, in fruits and vegetables particularly, there are huge losses in the tune of 8 to 12% because of its perishability of the nature of the product. So this is a big area where one can think of collaborating and setting up infrastructure. And of course, this container depots, they are the hot sector these days. And warehousing, because today what customer wants is punctuality and end-to-end logistics. It doesn't want any transshipment. Obviously, it adds to the cost. To minimize the logistics cost, the customer's expectation is to bring down the logistics cost and provide him punctual services. If my cargo is committed tomorrow, it should reach today, not day after tomorrow. So this is the kind of expectation customer has. So looking at the future scenario, I think there's a lot of scope in collaborating with the government and private industry to set up such units. So this is all from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Mendiratha. Thank you. I think a couple of very important points made, and especially because of the perishability of the products that we are talking about. I think you mentioned about these scientific warehouses, especially the CA storage. I think it's going to be important for us to set those up. Also, I think the ideas around collaboration between industry and government, especially in areas like the container depots you mentioned about warehousing. I think that's going to be very important, wherein I think industry and government can come together in PPP modes to set this up. Thank you so much for those thoughts, Mr. Mendiratha. I'm very happy to kind of inform you that we also have with us right now Mr. S.K. Ahirwar, who is the Joint Secretary at the Ministry of Commerce. He's been able to spare some time for us as part of the session. I would want him to, go next and talk about the initiatives that are being taken by the central government in terms of logistics and warehousing, in the country. Sir, if you can just, you're now on the videos. If you can just make your comments on the topic, that'll be very helpful, sir. Thank you so much for joining again. So we can't hear you, sorry. Sir, sorry, we can't hear you. I think it's on mute. Yeah. Ahirwar, sir, can you hear us? Madhu, can you hear?
Actually, I think they are fixing for him. So let's just wait.
Should we wait? Should we move ahead?
Yeah, for a few seconds we can wait. I think he's joining in.
Sure. Let's just wait for him to come.
I think there is some problem, so we can continue with the discussion, sir.
So next, I would want to invite our guest of honor for today, Mr. Yashanjeet Singh, who's also the Managing Director of the Punjab State Warehousing Corporation. Sir, if you're there, you heard, I think, some of the panelists talk about some of the issues, especially related to land acquisition, also thoughts in terms of where government could collaborate with the industry. Sir, if you could make your, comments on that, that'd be very helpful, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Secretary Industries, the hosts. First of all, I want to thank them for organizing this and all the people from the entrepreneurs. Yes, I just heard a few bullet points. I'll just start, what we feel in Punjab and what we feel logistics potential is in Punjab and where PSWC as warehousing and my other organization Conware can just chip in and help the industry and help Punjab to grow. As everyone knows and people have already talked about that logistics in the last half a decade, there has been a upliftment in the logistics and warehousing sector. GST has helped it, getting an industrial status has helped it. And there has been an ecosystem where logistics is going from an unorganized sector to a more organized sector. People are saying about decentralization, consolidation. I think whenever a sector flourishes, there is bound to be decentralization, and eventually only good players and better players help consolidate that sector. And this is going to happen with logistics and warehousing as well. As far as the trends are concerned, yes, as everyone said, people from the e-commerce industries were there, Tata's automobile was there. They have different experience in different ways in how COVID has hit them and what will be the future for them. I totally agree with the representative from Tata's when he said that inventory costs are going up and they'll like to cut it. We are talking about lean management, lean supply chains. So yes, on the other hand, e-commerce organizations have increased their market share. 3PL, 4PL people are coming up and propping up. So overall, if I see the difference between successful industries and the failure industries will be and is going to be logistics and how they manage it. As far as Punjab is concerned, I'll just for the investors who are within Punjab and people who are interested to invest in Punjab, I'll just go through some of the factors that the advantages that Punjab will provide them. I think everyone will be aware that Punjab has the maximum road connectivity. We have 100% road connectivity. The density is 133 per square kilometer. Similarly, as far as the rail is concerned, we are 49. The density is 49 kilometer per square kilometer, which is highest, one of the highest. Airports, if you know, Mohali has got an international status. Amritsar has got an international status. Other airports are coming, like Talwada and everything. We are a surplus power state. My installed capacity is 13,600 megawatts. We are part of the Eastern Freight Corridor, starting from Ludhiana, going to Dankani. As far as the Western Freight Corridor is concerned, the feeder service has been extended till Ludhiana. We are part of the Amritsar, Kolkata Industrial Corridor. Somebody talked about the Rajpura. Rajpura can be called as a gateway of Punjab. Now it is where the warehousing and logistic things are happening at a very, very big way. And it is strategically located, as everyone knows. It is on NH7, NH44. So if you see, Punjab as a state, I think we are very strategically located as far as logistics is concerned. Secretary Industry is here. He'll be telling you more about the policy, but I'd like to tell you that our new industrial policy, in which the logistic policy is already there. We are talking about the logistic cells. We are talking about, having the multimodal parks. We are giving many exemptions to the industries to come here and invest. So the opportunities in Punjab are, pretty good. And I hope that people will understand and, will come and invest in Punjab in logistics. As far as my organization is concerned, I'd like to tell you that we are in we are the biggest warehousing corporation in India. Another organization is Convair, where we take care of the logistics in Mumbai area, where CFS is and everything else is there. So both my companies are into logistics, and we want to diversify further in this field. So people who are interested in coming in Punjab, we have many offers for you. For example, land is an issue for logistics. Land is an issue to get in Punjab because of the inflation in the land prices. So when I talk about PSWC, I talk about Convair, and I talk about the opportunities of collaboration that are there in Punjab, I think we can collaborate in a number of ways. There can be a PPP project. There can, if someone requires a land or a space, we'll come up and act as a catalyst. There can be strategic alliances with us. For example, the logistics company of Government of India, Concor, has a strategic alliance with us in Ludhiana. As far as the opportunities for the private players is concerned, we are there to help them. We are there to help them in whatever way they want. They should come up with a project, and the industry department, we can sit together and formulate a plan for them. So as far as the collaboration is concerned, I think it will be a win-win situation. What your webinar has done is that they have connected us with the industry players, which we were struggling to do at the first point. If so, it can be a one-to-one talk after this webinar also, where people, if they have any interest in logistics or warehousing in Punjab, they can easily connect us. As far as opportunities in Punjab is concerned, I've already briefed them. And I'd like to finish. I was coming to the office to attend this webinar, and I was listening to a ghazal by Jagjit Singh. So So it will be the Urdu couplet will be for the investors who want to come to Punjab. So it goes like that. तुमको हम दिल में बसा लेंगे, तुम आओ तो सही. नाज हम सारे उठा लेंगे, तुम आओ तो सही. So I just welcome all the investors who want to come in logistics, in warehousing in Punjab. Our arms are open. Give us an opportunity and invest in Punjab. We'll be very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. I think you mentioned about some of the advantages of Punjab and Punjab, why it is well suited for logistics and warehousing, especially when we're looking at the growing demand and the also the connectivity that Punjab today is going to offer with the Eastern dedicated freight corridor. Coming up, also linkage to the Western dedicated freight corridor. Also, I think you touched upon the opportunities that Punjab offers. Absolutely, sir. And I think the welcoming and the red carpet that Punjab has offered, especially since the last 3-4 years, and we've seen the amount of investments that have come into Punjab. I think it's a testimony to the support that's been provided by the government, and we are very, very thankful to the government of Punjab for that. With that, let me just move to Mr. Sibin C, who's the Secretary of the Department of Industries and Commerce. Sir, thank you for joining us. And we would like to, sir, hear from you in terms of what are the steps taken by the Punjab government to enable ease of doing business, and also what are some of the offerings that the investors can look at.
Yeah, thank you, Himanshu, and thank you, PST Chamber of Commerce, for inviting me. It's nice to hear you all. So as far as logistics is concerned, it's a very important sector for the state of Punjab, being landlocked state. So we having the natural hindrance for movement of various goods and services. But we had overcome it through the development of excellent road network as well as railway connectivity. So apart from this, we have many logistic parks already set up. We have container freight stations. We have this ICDs. So with all this development during the past few years, we were able to achieve a very good ranking in the logistics sector. That is second ranking in the last ranking, and the new ranking will be soon. There will be the leads ranking will be out. I think probably we'll be able to achieve good ranking in future also. So I'll be basically talking about what is the importance of this logistics sector, what are the prospects, what are the initiative reforms we had recently undertaken, and the recent latest development. So as far as prospects is concerned, the state of Punjab has a the industry. We have a 2.6 lakh MSMEs in the state functioning, and around more than 500 large industrial unit, and the export prospects is around $6 million every year. So again, we have around 9 regular container trains going from Punjab, and the dedicated freight corridors, as already mentioned, the Eastern dedicated and Western dedicated freight corridor will be a great boon to the state of Punjab, especially to overcome this interlocking status of the state. So our CM Punjab has already taken up the issue of the delay in the dedicated freight corridor issue with the government of India, and they had now replied back that it's still delayed by 6 months, but we'll be able to probably complete it by the mid of the 2022. So that is the latest update from the government of India. So with the coming up of dedicated freight corridor, and especially in the COVID regime, there are a lot of importance given to the e-commerce activities, and we are in constantly touch with the e-commerce platforms. And as per their requirement, also there are a lot of warehouse requirement is there, which will be they would be like to set up in the state of Punjab. So there are a lot of prospects. And we can say we had, from the state government point of view, we had done a lot of reforms or initiative during the past 2-3 years. So that is basically of doing business reforms, like state reform action plan, district reform action plan, which basically extend to various departments. Maybe 13 to 15 departments are involved, and many reforms has been sent. So it's very difficult for me to basically go into each reforms. But we are trying to basically go to the stakeholders and give maximum publicity to these reforms, so that they can basically utilize these reforms. And we have a very attractive incentive policy, which is Industrial Business and Development Policy 2017, which offers very attractive incentive to these new units coming up. And logistics sector is one of the thrust sector which we had identified. And based upon the FCI, we will be giving various incentive like GST reimbursement, ED exemptions, and employment generation subsidy, and various subsidy as per depending upon the FCI of the particular investment. So I am very happy to share that during the last 3 to 4 years, last 3 to 4 years of this government, when the policy came, and we got an around 11 units has come up in the logistics sector with an investment of around more than 250 crore. And I hope that the investors will be utilizing this incentive policy further also. And the recent development which I would like to highlight is, like, there is a logistics cell has been set up under the chairmanship of Principal Secretary Industries. He will be coordinating with the various line department if there is any issue regarding any regulatory clearances or something which is required by various logistic investors. And there is a logistic coordination committee has been set up under the chairmanship of Chief Secretary. So Chief Secretary will also be basically coordinating with the various line departments, and any issue faced by any investors will be taking up in the highest forum. And Container Corporation also, there is a new proposal is coming up to establish ICD in Amritsar, which is Manawala. So that is also a important development. And apart from that, we are expecting basically the 3 major industrial park, mega industrial parks to come up. That is one in Rajpura, one in Bathinda, that is Bulk Drug Park, and one in Ludhiana, that is the Mega Textile Park. And Rajpura is industrial manufacturing cluster as a part of Amritsar Kolkata Industrial Corridor. So these are the main recent development which I think offers a great scope for these players in the logistics sector to come to the state. And as Yashanji has already told you, we welcome everybody to the state, and we offers all the help, whatever required from our department point of view, as well as state government point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think, as you mentioned, I think logistics remains to be, very core thrust sector for Punjab. There are incentives which are available as part of the policy, as you highlighted. In terms of the reforms, multiple reforms being undertaken both at a state level as well as at a district level across 13, 15 departments. So that should definitely help. In fact, Ladakh unions were also abolished a year back as well. In terms of the opportunities, as sir mentioned, I think Rajpura, Bathinda, and Ludhiana, with industrial parks coming up in these 3 regions, I think there's going to be a significant demand that's going to come across multiple sectors, and therefore there's a lot of opportunity for logistics player to look at Punjab. So I think thank you, sir, for those comments. Next, I want to just come back to Ramesh ji. I think now we've kind of heard from all the industry players as well as from the government. So I thought I'll just quickly come back to you, and we would like to hear your thoughts now in terms of your view on some of the topics that we have discussed. Sir.
Thank you, sir. In fact, मैं कुछ अभी सभी की सुन रहा था, तो एक तो चीज ये आई कि जो मिस्टर पालीवाल साहब ने कहा कि काफी स्पेस एम्प्टी हो जाता, खाली है, तो अक्सर हम क्या करते थे पहले, जो इससे पहले, क्योंकि हमको लगता था कि हम जो पूरा ईयर का जब आंकड़ा निकालते हैं, इफ यू से समवेयर इन द मंथ ऑफ मार्च, किसी के पास सपोज करो 1 लाख स्क्वायर फीट वेयर हाउस है, तो मार्च के अंदर वो अप्रोक्सीमेटली 70% या फरवरी मार्च में 70% उसको ऑक्यूपाई होता था, जून जुलाई में सपोज 100% ऑक्यूपाई होता है, और समवेयर न्यू ईयर, दिवाली एंड दशहरा वो 120% हो जाता है, तो उनके पास स्पेस की कमी पड़ जाती है। तो उसके कारण क्या करते थे कि चलो भाई 120% ले लो, मतलब 1 लाख की बजाय बस। तो ऐसा जिसके कारण बजट हमेशा बिगड़ता था, लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट हमेशा ज्यादा होती थी। तो अब जो मॉडल बना है, जो हमने एक मॉडल निकाल कर दिया था कि भाई यू गो फॉर 120%, आप 70% ही रखो, और हर वेयर हाउस में ओपन स्पेस होता है। तो कुछ कंटेनर जो होते हैं वो पोर्टेबल कंटेनर, जैसे लाइक ISO कंटेनर, जब भी जरूरत पड़े ऑन नीड बेस यू जस्ट आस्क फ्रॉम द ट्रांसपोर्टर्स, वो हायर पे मिलते हैं। जैसे हमने हायर पे देना शुरू कर दिया, यू टेक 10 कंटेनर 5 कंटेनर, तो 70% ही अपना इतना स्पेस रखो, बाकी आपको अननेसेसरी की वहां कॉस्ट बढ़ाने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है, जो की कॉस्ट बढ़ जाती थी। एक यह नया मॉडल इंडिया में लागू हुआ, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, दूसरा, हमेशा क्या होता है, हम जब लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट हमारी क्यों बढ़ती है एक्सप्रेस कार्गो की, पार्सल की, वाई बिकॉज हम कोई भी एक मटेरियल किसी कंसाइनमेंट को किसी भी क्लाइंट के वेयर हाउस से, फैक्ट्री से या उसके फुलफिल सेंटरमेंट से उठाते हैं, पिक करके हमारे वेयर हाउस में रखते हैं, और रात को हम कंसोलिडेट करते हैं। ऐसे 100 ट्रक पर डे निकलते हैं, यू नेम एनी एक्सप्रेस कार्गो। उसको रखने के लिए वी नीड ए कवर्ड वेयर हाउस, एक अच्छा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए, कवर्ड वेयर हाउस। उसका कॉस्ट यदि हम लगाते हैं तो 16 रुपीज पर स्क्वायर फीट हमारी कॉस्ट आ जाती है। सपोज करो एक एक्सप्रेस कार्गो वाले के पास 1 करोड़ स्क्वायर फीट वेयर हाउस है, ही हैज टू स्पेंड 16 करोड़ रुपीज पर मंथ। तो वो मॉडल हमने क्या किया कि छोटे पार्सल छोड़ दो, उसमें से मेनी पार्सल इज 1 टन एंड अबव होते हैं। तो व्हाट वी हैव डन इट, वी मेड स्मॉल कंटेनर ऑफ 1 टनर 2 टनर लाइक दैट। तो हम क्लाइंट के पास से वो 1 टनर का क्लाइंट के पास कंटेनर छोटा भेजते हैं, वो लोड करते हैं कंटेनर और क्लाइंट उसको ही सील करता है। वो सब इन प्लेस ऑफ कवर्ड वेयर हाउस वी कीप दिस ऑल ओपन। जो 16 रुपए का भाव है 16 का, दैट इज ओनली 2 रुपीज 80 पैसे, 3 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट का भाव है, यानी कि हम 13 रुपीज पर स्क्वायर फीट बचा रहे हैं। जो 16 रुपए स्क्वायर फीट के अंदर जो कवर्ड में जो लेबर अनलोड करते हैं, दे टेक 1 hour 40 minutes टू ऑफलोड 1 ट्रक। हमारा ओनली 12 मिनट्स में विद द फोर्कलिफ्ट्स वी ऑफलोड 1 कंटेनर। तो जहां लेबर की कॉस्ट 400 रुपीज लगती थी, इट ओनली कॉस्ट समवेयर 100 रुपीज। तो इस तरह के कुछ इनोवेशन आइडिया से हमने कुछ एक कोशिश करी है कि कुछ कॉस्ट कैसे बचाई जा सके। तो इस तरह से 12 to 14% जो 1 टन और एबो कंसाइनमेंट भेजते थे, आज उनकी कॉस्ट बचने लग गई। सेकंड, वो अपना जब बिकॉज दे नो दैट देयर विल बी मल्टीपल हैंडलिंग, तो पैकिंग का उनको एक्स्ट्रा करना पड़ता था। इन प्लेस ऑफ 5 ply दे हैव टू पुट 9 ply 7 ply एंड अगेन पॉलीथीन लाइक दैट। तो हमने कहा कि जब आपके घर पे कंटेनर आ गया, यू लोड इट, इट्स आउटर पैकिंग फॉर यू, व्हाई टू अननेसेसरी पुट 9 ply 7 ply 10 ply 11 ply, वी पुट ओनली 5 ply एंड पुट सम फिलर। तो जो की पैकिंग कॉस्ट थी, जो उसके अंदर अप्रोक्सीमेटली 18% उनकी पैकिंग कॉस्ट रिड्यूस हो गई, क्योंकि मोर यू ट्रांसशिप मोर डैमेज, लेस यू ट्रांसशिप लेस डैमेज, जीरो यू ट्रांसशिप जीरो डैमेज। वी हैव गिवन ए कांसेप्ट टू डू जीरो ट्रांसशिपमेंट। थर्ड एक चीज निकल कर आई, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, बिकॉज एवरीवन इज गोइंग फॉर इंश्योरेंस, बिकॉज उनका डैमेज होता था। जब हमने कहा कि आपको हमने पोर्टेबल कंटेनर दे दिए, ये एक इतना आउटर है लाइक सी का कंटेनर, तो व्हाई डू यू गो फॉर इंश्योरेंस। तो हमने उनका एक एवरेज निकाला कि ऑलमोस्ट हमारे 30% क्लाइंट दे हैव नाउ नो मोर इंश्योरेंस। एक छोटा सा प्रीमियम वो कुछ लेते हैं एक्सीडेंट और फायर का, अदरवाइज डैमेज का इंश्योरेंस लेना बंद कर दिया। तो एक ह्यूज अमाउंट उनका इंश्योरेंस बचने लग गया। तो मेरा कहने का मतलब है कि नाउ वी हैव टू कम आउट विद इनोवेटिव आइडिया कि हमारी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट को कैसे कम करेंगे। ये एक नई चीज आई थी जो मैंने आपको ऐड ऑन करी। तो भी इट हैज बीन ऑलरेडी इंडल्ज, स्टार्ट हो चुकी है, पीपल आर एंजॉयिंग इट। ऑफ कोर्स वी हैव अ लिमिटेड कंटेनर्स, वी आर गोइंग फॉर 1 लाख कंटेनर्स, और द डे विल कम कि जो ट्रांसशिपमेंट से तो इंडिया के अंदर 42,000 करोड़ का बिजनेस लाइक लॉस होता है एवरी ईयर बिकॉज ऑफ ट्रांसशिपमेंट। 42,000 करोड़, इट नॉट ए स्मॉल अमाउंट, which is going to be reduced one day. That is my end of the conclusion. Thank you so much. I had conveyed whatever I wanted.
Thank you so much रमेश जी। आई थिंक काफी इनोवेटिव आइडियाज, आई थिंक पहले जो आपने बात बोली बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग लगी कि rather than budgeting warehousing in terms of land for the peak demand period. So what maybe as you were saying, I thought this can lead to a concept of just in time logistics. So rather than just in time inventory, we are talking about just in time logistics, wherein We don't need a larger land parcel right at the design. जैसी peak demand आएगी, उस समय we kind of bring that capacity in. Covered warehousing के लिए जो आपने container, छोटे container वाली बात बोली, to reduce cost, I think it's a very, very important point. And also in terms of these transshipments, जितने losses होते हैं, I think we are slowly going to reduce them over a period of time. Thank you so much, sir, for your comments. Next, let me just move to the question and answer session. And let me just begin with Mr. Amit Jain. He had a question. Mr. Amit, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question, maybe just give a quick introduction about yourself and then ask your question, please. Mr. Jain.
Hello,
Mr.
good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Amit Jain. I'm the president of the C&F Association and also the managing director of JMS Group, who are the biggest C&F and warehousing providers of this region. So it was very heartening and exciting to hear all the comments from all the people who are wanting to participate, and especially the Punjab government officials. And as we have been saying, I was also part of the previous logistic conclave committee of Punjab, that this area has a huge potential. But my concern is that we can see that a lot of excitement is there and everyone is wanting to do a lot. But our concern is the basics are still missing. For example, till date, town and country planning of this area, I'm talking about Banoor and Punjab and Rajpura area, is not issuing CLUs for standalone warehouses. Either it is considered has to be as a industry, or it has to be a logistic park. But a standalone warehouse, suppose I have to have a warehouse for a FMCG, pharma or thing, I'm not given a CLU for that. Long time back, we were told, okay, industry warehouse has been recognized as industry. But when we approached the electricity department that, okay, we are industry, they said, we don't have any such intimation or notification. So we can't extend that benefit to you. There was a declaration by the government of India that there will be some bank rate interest rebates on warehousing. I am not able to come across any such actual practical, intimation to the banks where we can avail it. Mr. Sundar Sham Arora, the Honorable Industries Minister, on 3rd August 2018, in this conclave at Ludhiana in Park Plaza, he had declared this Banoor Tepla Road as a warehousing zone. It was in an open meeting. He declared it, okay, we are going to declare Banoor Tepla Road as a warehousing zone, which is very near to Rajpura. And in addition to the rest of Punjab and J&K, Banoor Tepla Road gives the connectivity to Himachal also. So we were very happy about it, but till date, nothing has been done about it. The apathy can be judged from the fact that today I was registering for this meeting, and when I was looking at the options of registering from which industry I come, there was no option to select warehousing and logistics. So this itself shows, how much kind of we are synced or aligned towards it. So my sincere request is, obviously, there's a lot that can be done and there's a lot of potential. But first, we need to look at the basics. That's my sincere request.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Sibin sir, do you want to take that?
Yeah. So I think the issue here raised is very important issue, because I think in the industrial business and development policy, we considered the warehousing as a under thrust sector, and it is considered as an industry. So probably whatever the problem he is individually facing with respect to the town and country planning, with respect to CLU or for the power department, if they are not recognizing it as an industry, probably we can take it up with the concerned line department. So I would like to request him to give a representation. So we will be taking up with the concerned department at highest level. And regarding Banoor Tepla Road, I don't know what is required. That probably that was a declaration by the industry minister. So we will discuss with him what is the requirement in that.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Amit. Maybe what I'll do is I'll separately follow up, and we can connect you with Sibin sir, and we can see how we can solve at least the specific issues that you mentioned. For any box or raise your hand, that'd be very helpful. Meanwhile, let me just come back to Mr. Satyam and Mr. Achal. You've heard again all the participants. I just wanted to get your thoughts in terms of specifically, let's say Flipkart or Tata Motors, any investment plans that you're looking at, and whether you're looking at Punjab as a option for that. Mr. Satyam.
Sure. So we certainly are actively, as a part of our growing network, we are in the middle of the process to evaluate our next set of nodes in our network expansion. And Punjab is a very important consideration in the network design for us. So we are actively looking. In fact, in terms of our last mile nodes, there has been almost 100% expansion in the presence of our last mile nodes already, and associated middle mile infrastructure for Punjab. That has already happened. And right now we are in the middle of our, every year we do our 3 and 5 year planning exercise. So we are in the middle of that, and it is a very active consideration that we have on that front.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satyam. Mr. Achal, you want to come in terms of Tata Motors plans?
Yeah, sure. First thing, I would like to really appreciate one thing before even I respond to this question, and that is the government is coming forward. It's a sea change which is happening now. And since Mr. Yashanjit Singh is from railways initially, so the way railway is opening up is phenomenal. We spoke to Mr. Goel, Honorable Minister, and thereafter a lot of things are happening. Very exciting things are happening. So it's a welcome step that government is sharing its assets, infrastructure, opening up its policies for industries to do business and maximize their business potential. So that's a good thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Sibin, Yashanjit Singh, and all government officers. For Tata Motors, traditionally Punjab is a very, very important market. And I'll tell you how it is. Usually our market share in commercial vehicles is somewhere around 52%. But in Punjab, this market share is 54% plus. So in that way, they are comparatively generous to us. And it is not only Punjab. Punjab opens up markets of Himachal, markets of J&K, where we are around 74% market share. So these are important markets for us. The problem is that we are already present in Karnal. So we have around 13-14 acre setup, which is just on the borders of Punjab. And we are serving the entire market from there. Now, because of inventory constraints and other issues which most of the auto industry is facing today, we are rather manufacturing constrained kind of industry, and it is likely to remain for next 2 years. That's how we anticipate at least. I don't see any possibility of expansion at this moment of time. But as Sanjay has said last time, yes, COVID is not going to last forever. So we are going to overcome it. And the way things are happening might also change and will change definitely. And normalcy will return. At that point of time, Tata Motors definitely look forward to decentralized distribution system. Cloud with, it's a kind of dual mode, you can say, where we supply from the factories, we supply from the warehouses also. And that is where this combination, what Sanjay has indicated, and not only Sanjay, thereafter Puneet has also, just indicated that we have railways, we have land nearby railways, and it's largely government land. If this entire combination is offered as a business proposition, it can help the entire industry a lot, even into the tier 2, tier 3 markets, where we can supply through trains and we use the nearby railway siding. Although the requirements may not be large, but another factor which comes to my mind is that these are the big investments, and these are going to last forever. But somehow the business environment is very flexible and uncertain. So we need a flexibility in the entire distribution system. So when this PPP model works out in such a way that some 3PL partners, some railway operators, AFTO, PFTOs, or government agencies like warehousing corporations, they pool in their assets and they provide a composite facilities on pay-per-use basis for the entire industry, not necessarily for Tata Motors. And this is how we both get the economies of uses. And Rameshji has importantly pointed out one thing which I remember, that space requirement is always not consistent. Right? Based upon market demand and supplies, you always need more or less space. Then what to do with excess, because it's a fixed investment and you can't do it. So if those kind of flexible offerings are put in place, I think industry can mostly benefit, government can also benefit and make use of its infrastructure more productively. So this is one area where I see a lot of possibilities of public-private partnership, and even the government agencies can pitch in together and create such infrastructure which is open to the industry and offered for use. I think this is one area where Punjab government, I really should look into. And from consumption center, I completely agree that finally we are heading towards tier 2, tier 3 in upcountry market. And that is where the demand is. And if industry can gear up to meet this demand, it is only possible through dual mode of distribution. So this is my viewpoint in all, Himanshu.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paliwal, and we do look forward to post-COVID, thing settles. And whenever Tata Motor looks at expansion, I hope you look at Punjab as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Paliwal.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Question, Mr. Kushal Bansal. Mr. Kushal, if you're there on the call, if you could just quickly introduce yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, Himanshu. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you, Himanshu, for inviting me for this conference. I think great insights I learned from Mr. Ramesh Agarwal. I think great insights from their business experience, what the thoughts they have given, constantly looking at each of your process, where the savings lies, where you can. Sorry, I just forgot to introduce. I'm Kushal. I'm a finance controller with Dell Technologies. I joined 10 years back as a CFO for Dell Mohali. So that was, and now I'm leading the consumer business for entire Dell as a finance controller. I think some of the thoughts I come to my mind, like Mr. Achwal and Mr. Satya mentioned, inventories plays a very critical role. Healthy inventories are very important. So in my industry as a hardware for a computer industry, I think inventories are like a banana. If you don't eat in 2 days, right, they will be black, right? So I think Mr. Puneet also mentioned rotten, right? So I give an example for Dell. Transforming from a $90 million kind of losses to a break-even as a part of a CFO, I was involved leading this initiative. So I tell you, the entire team here, 50% of the savings were from the inventory, managing your inventories, managing your supply chain. That's very important. And as a CFO, I have to constantly ask, what can be next? How we can improve some of the things. I heard a very question from Mr. Amit Jain. He has mentioned the challenges business is facing in Punjab. So probably my question is to Mr. Sriben, how we can think of more proactive, getting this business. There are challenges or obstacles, but I give an example, we have a PLI scheme which is being launched for the notebook industry, where we have the incentives, or Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I'm constantly looking to participate with the competition, like Apple is doing, Samsung is doing. But why can't in Punjab we launch some schemes, some incentives, right? Where we have a kind of scale and savings we can see. I mean, with the our supply chain cost, where we can get the incentives. Yashanjiji has talked about the infrastructure. That's very good. But what about the incentive? Like if center government is launching these schemes like PLI, then there is a single window retail SBRT schemes. I mean, why we can't think of some of those schemes which can like kind of make the investors to move into Punjab and invest that kind of schemes at a state level we can think of. So probably Mr. Sebin or Mr. Yashanjit can help.
Yeah. So shall I reply, Himanshu? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So as I already explained, there is IBDP 2017, which offers very attractive incentive to the investors in the logistics sector. The logistics sector is basically identified as a thrust sector. So additionally, based on the FCI, 125% of FCI, we are giving various incentive like GST reimbursement, ED exemption, CLU, EDC exemption, employment generation subsidy. So there are a lot of very attractive offers. You probably may not get such a very attractive industrial business policy anywhere in India probably. So as I already told, any investors they can visit our website and see our policy and what are the incentive available in the particular sector. They can utilize that. They can apply through our investment Punjab business portal, which is also a single window system. So for the regulatory clearances as well as for the fiscal incentive, they can apply through that single window in Invest Punjab Business First portal, and they can utilize our whatever the incentives are already there. So we are now not thinking of any further more incentive out of other than that of the policy, but the policy itself is very quite comprehensive and covers various sectors. So again, we had recently come up as far as regulatory clearance are concerned, we had come up with the Right to Business Act recently. So in which initially for initial for 3.5 years there is no regulatory requirement concerned, and the meantime they can get all the regulatory clearances. So this is for especially for the MSME sector. No, this is for the MSME sector. So these are some of the initiatives. You can visit our website and see what are the our what is there offered in our policy as well as our recent initiative and reforms. Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Sibil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sibin, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bansal, for that question. In fact, what we'll also try to see is if we can send these, policy incentive, because they are actually best in class, which Punjab offers, especially in the logistics space. Maybe I'll tie up with PhD separately and see how we can send it to all the members joined as part of the call today. Next, we have a couple of questions from Mr. Karan Rai. And the first question is that the cost of Himachal Pradesh unions is very high, and therefore when it enters the cargo at the ICD, the costing is fairly high for the logistic operators. So how do you address that? And second question was related to PPP or government warehousing for storing cargo and code sharing, as initially all companies are not in a position to buy own warehousing. So can there be a model of code sharing is what the question is from Mr. Rai. I'm not sure, Mr. Rai, if you're there on the call, do you want to quickly unmute and talk about it, or? Jigyasa, do we have Mr. Karan Rai on call?
I think we have, but
Yeah, he's there. I'll just ask him to unmute. Mr. Rai, if you're there.
Himanshu, can we just go with the question and get it addressed?
He's not able to unmute, but maybe let's take the second question. Is there a possibility of code sharing? Or companies who can't afford their own warehousing space to share, warehouses. Is that a possibility? Let me just take industry's reaction on that first. Maybe Rameshji, if you want to come in there, is there a code sharing mechanism that could be possible for smaller companies who can't afford warehouses?
अभी ये जो नया मॉडल पोस्ट कोविड जो बना हुआ है या ड्यूरिंग कोविड, उसमें warehouse on need basis, warehouse on demands. जैसे आपको like there is a warehouse for 1 lakh square feet. There are multiple peoples. You can have the guards on share basis, people on share basis, trucks for share basis. So if you have the only one, you need only 500 square feet for 15 days. You just pay 500 feet for the 500 square feet for 15 days, 20 days on days basis. तो ये facility available है. Of course, जो like traditional warehouse owner है वो ये नहीं करते, but transporters and logistic providers they are doing it. APML is doing it. You can have for one day, even one truck you have. You want to keep one truck on the somewhere for the 3 days. You just pay for 3 days and get free of no agreement, nothing, no security. कुछ नहीं लगता आपका. बहुत बढ़िया मॉडल है ये. People are now availing these models.
Perfect. So I think those models are available, is what you're saying, and chote players can leverage that on a daily, whatever basis, and pay for it. Thank you so much. I think that answers the question. With that, I think I know the time is up. So I'll just now invite Miss Madhu Pillai, who's the regional director of PHT, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Himanshu. It's my proud privilege to propose a hearty vote of thanks. At the outset, I'd like to thank Sibin sir and Yashanjit sir for their support and encouragement to organize today's program. Sirs, we hope that a constant effort to connect with the government and industry will support endeavors initiated by your departments. We are also very thankful to our eminent speakers today, Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, Mr. Achal Paliwal, Mr. Satyam Chaudhary, and Mr. Puneet Mendirata. Thank you for sharing your views on this platform. We are sure that this information will be helpful for the industry players to shape up their future supply chain strategy. And we also hope that today's session will attract investments into the state of Punjab. I would also like to thank all the industry members who joined for the session today. And I hope that there are takeaways from the session that you can use in your business ventures. I would also like to thank Mr. Madhusudan Viz, our chair, for his support and being there for the session. And last but not the least, I would like to thank Mr. Himanshu Rattan for so beautifully facilitating the session. You kept the panelists as well as the attendees engaged. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate. With this, we come to the close of the session, and thank you all for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.